Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to a new dragging video. Without further ado, let's get started. Let's start off here at the Louis Vuitton in Bordeaux in France. The clerk asked if we wanted to claim the tax refund and if I had my passport. I said no, not at the moment, which he said that wasn't a problem. He said he didn't have his passport. He proceeded to make the sale and provided a receipt, not the tax refund form as is required, and therefore I could not claim at the airport. I expected more from LV staff. He names and shames the store, the SA. Do better. I mean, look, I'm sorry, but this is your fault. We all know what the tax refund forms look like in Europe if you have shopped in Europe before. If you haven't shopped in Europe before, just Google the picture and you will see what they look like, particularly if you're shopping in France. So I'm struggling to understand why you would take the word of someone who works there. Now, I know what some of you are going to say. It's going to be like, well, he works there. Like, how did he not know? And this and this and this. But it's like, take some ownership and some accountability and take some responsibility for your shopping decisions. I'm so strict about that tax refund. I remember, I think a few trips ago when my husband came to the trip as well. I think the trip where I went to Berlin, and my husband was like, "Oh, I don't think I'm gonna get the refund." Oh, da, da, da. And I was like, "You're getting it, because I'm gonna be on your case to get this refund, honey." And he did. And I remember when it hit his account. I remember he was at work and he called me and he was like, "Sup, what you doing?" I was like, "I'm at work." And he's like, "Oh, I just got my message. I got my refund." I said, "You see? So take some ownership and take some accountability. It's your money after all." The next one is still that boutique. We are international LV clients. The store in Bordeaux is the worst customer service we've ever had. It was so bad, we're considering never buying from the brand again. The staff is not trained to handle tax-free transactions for non-EU clients. The SA called names and shames the person, looked down on us and grimaced when we showed our ID papers. When offered a chance for him to apologize, he declined and did not even try and make things right. We came in to purchase shoes, accessories, and a Mal O 110. But facing such an unprofessional attitude, we just left and will never come again. We used to enjoy coming to the boutique in Bordeaux. We had massive respect for the brand and its savoir-faire. We're deeply saddened to see such a legacy being spoiled by staff members. A few things. I don't know if you guys know what the Mal O 110 looks like. It is one of the flagship stunning hard-sided pieces. I'll insert a picture here if you've never seen what it looks like. It is stunning. In Europe in 2025 today, if you were to buy this in Paris or in France, it is 54,000 euros in the entire EU. It is a stunning, gorgeous piece that really does highlight everything we love about the Louis Vuitton brand. It's literally Louis Vuitton in a trunk. You know, I'm quite shocked because I know how seriously they take hard-sided clients at Louis Vuitton. I remember speaking to a Glamazon who told me that she had popped into one of the boutiques in the European Union. This was a few years ago. And she said that she was interested in buying a hat box and they took her to a private room. Because I had mentioned that I like the hat box and she was like, "Oh my God, if you ever pull the trigger on the hat box, they will literally, they will whisk you away to a private room. They'll start showing you other trunks. They'll start showing you other hard-sided pieces." I think that the hard-sided pieces show you have a lot of disposable income. And I think it shows this thing called sales velocity. Sales velocity is a term that comes from the sales world. And basically, it's how fast a salesperson is able to take someone from point A of thinking about buying something to point B to actually purchasing and converting. I think if you are someone who can buy a 54,000 euro hard-sided trunk, you have that kind of sales velocity that SA needs to look really good at work. I know people say like, "Oh, Louis Vuitton CAs in the European Union don't get commissions." You know, I've said this before, that actually kind of obscures the reality of what's going on. It might not be a traditional commission the way the CAs in the US and Canada get a commission, but they absolutely will probably get a credit on their profile. They'll look really good for future job promotions. Maybe if there's a top job promotion going up in the Paris HQ, or maybe an actual promotion to the head office, which is in Pont Neuf in Paris, maybe they'll be looked at for that. You know what I mean? So it does matter, the ability to sell these pieces. So it's quite shocking the treatment that this this individual received, because I would think if you were clear that you were buying the Malo 110, I would think that they would literally run after you. So part of me wonders, like, were you actually going to buy it, or were you also being rude as well? As, again, it's not to blame the client or anything, I'm just saying. And then here, when they say when he was offered a chance for him to apologize, he declined and didn't try and make things right. This reminds me of something I saw on social media. Someone was saying, like, there's certain countries in Europe that are not going to tolerate, there's certain, I beg your pardon, there's certain like businesses, like hotels and restaurants from certain countries. They mentioned actually France specifically, and I have to say I agree. And they also mentioned Italy. It was like this thing on social media saying, if you're like that really rude tourist who thinks the customer's always right, there are certain business owners in certain European countries who are going to be like, let me stop you right there. Okay, you're not going to sit here and try and make commands and tell everyone what to do, because that's not what we do here. So part of me wonders, if you're in a store and you're quite confrontational with an SA, we offered him a chance to apologize to us. I'm sorry, I'm not your court jester. I'm not Rumpelstiltskin. I'm not your slave. Okay? If you tell me I'm offering you a chance to apologize, you're trying to humiliate me. I don't care how much money you spent in the store. I don't care if you're going to buy a 54,000 euro Malo hard-sided piece. So if they were coming at the SA like, you need to apologize, SA is going to be like, girl, bye. I'm not saying anything to you. So that's a tough one. Jury's out. Tell me what you think about this one. The Louis Vuitton boutique in Geneva in Switzerland. Just a terrible experience in this branch. The store was overloaded. There's little interest from SAs. While waiting there was no coffee, tea, or champagne offered, only awkward smiles. When buying an expensive perfume, they did not offer samples of other fragrances, as if they wanted to get rid of me. I have to say, I wouldn't go to the Louis Vuitton boutique in Geneva just to buy a perfume. Not in 2025. Just like knowing what I know now about dragging and how they're going to drag you, honey. Like, I personally wouldn't. It's okay if other people want to. I'm just saying what I personally wouldn't. The next one is the Big H boutique in Warsaw in Poland. I want to take a moment to share my opinion about the terrible experience I had in the Warsaw Big H. I purchased a lipstick and after, God, we know where this is going. I purchased a lipstick and after a few weeks of using the product, the product broke of no fault of my own. He used it though. When I entered the store, I was greeted by a doorman and waited quite a while. When someone finally approached me, it was names the SA. We call the SA number one. It was number one who said all of the assistants are busy with other clients and I'll be next in line after one mature gentleman. I waited patiently as the store didn't look busy. The whole situation took place on Wednesday around 1 p.m. According to my observation, there were more SAs than clients. After that, SA was done with the mature gentleman. She glanced at me and then went to other clients who just came in. At this point, I started to feel ignored. As I was already waiting 20 minutes, I asked why I had to wait when I was supposed to be next and only got the response, quote, that they had a misunderstanding. Those priority clients who just came in didn't look like they had an appointment. I noticed that they speak Russian. The mature gentleman that was the customer before me spoke Polish and was not pleased that the assistant spoke Russian to him, even when she said bye in Russian. Was that an act of discrimination against me for not speaking Russian in Poland, that I was omitted from the line? Ooh, that's interesting. I asked SA number one, what is the name of the assistant that ignored me? And she said that I have to ask her personally and maybe waste another 30 minutes because she was busy with other clients. So I could only describe her as SA number two, who speaks Russian. Finally, SA number one came up to me and said she'll help. She took my lipstick and disappeared for around 20 minutes. After all that, she called Switzerland and said there's nothing she can do. The whole situation took 45 minutes of my time in a store with less than 3 clients. As a result, I'm really disappointed with customer service. Honestly, girl, you should have just chilled at home and relaxed and ordered it from the website. ordered a new lip oil. As she put a picture to the lip oil, and ordered a new lip oil from the website. That's what I would have done. I wouldn't have stressed myself going to this particular store. Everything I've read about the Warsaw flagship is that it is the boutique that serves all of Eastern Europe, and it serves all of the high spending clients of different Eastern European countries that do not have an Hermes boutique. Off the top of my head, off memory, there are only two countries in Eastern Europe that have Big H boutiques. The flagship in Prague in the Czech Republic, and the Warsaw boutique in Poland. Both of them act. Both of them act as gateways to Eastern Europe. So think of countries like Hungary that doesn't have a store, Bulgaria doesn't have a store, and of course the very high spending Russian ballers who shop at different boutiques. Okay, so this part here talking about the Russian client, speaking the fact that she noticed like a couple had come in and they were Russian speakers and they were given priority. Maybe that's why she said, did they discriminate against me because I didn't speak Russian? I don't think that's like what happened. I think that might just be a misunderstanding. Maybe they had an appointment. Maybe the store knows who they are. But these two stores, Prague and Warsaw, are the gateway boutiques for all of Eastern Europe. So they serve all of Eastern Europe basically. So they have local clients who spend a lot of money, and then they have clients from other Eastern European countries who also spend a lot of money. And then you also have Russian top spenders as well, because I believe the Big H boutiques in Moscow and St. Petersburg at the moment are closed temporarily. Obviously, I think, we all know why. So that puts a lot of pressure on the store, because you have local clients who spend a lot of money. You have clients from other countries in Europe who spend a lot of money. Some of whom are in the EU, some who are not. And then you have clients from other European countries that are not in the EU, but they're also from Europe who spend a lot of money as well. So sounds to me like a competitive situation. I personally wouldn't have gone there to complain about a lipstick that I have used. Me personally, I would have chilled, honey, at home. Honey, I would have ordered a new lip oil for myself and had it shipped to my crib and just be relaxing, chilling, eating bonbons, living life. Me personally, I wouldn't have stressed myself to go to the store and waste 45 minutes to buy lip oil. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. And I'm not saying that in like, oh, I'm trying to think I'm better than other people. No, went to the Copenhagen store, and we when on the Copenhagen trip, the previous trip, went into the Copenhagen Big H. They were very friendly in there. I think that they were very happy that you were going to buy something and you're not going to ask for a handbag. I bought a lipstick in there. They were super pleasant. I remember me and my cousin both were like, wow, they're really nice. And I remember thinking, oh, they're really nice because you're not buying a Coach bag. You're not asking for a Coach bag. So they're like, it's whatever. She's a local client, and they knew that she wasn't going to buy anything, and they knew that she was upset about the makeup. So they didn't want to be super helpful. It's not pleasant, but I just think make it easy on yourself. That's all I'm saying. Make it easy on yourself, because in these competitive stores where there are people who spend a lot of money, they don't want you to buy like something small. I've learned my lesson. I will never go to a Big H boutique and buy something small again. Like after frankly, any luxury store and buy something small again. I won't. I'll just order it online. I think I like the look of the Cartier single earring. Might pick it up on the next trip. I would ask for it only if I was buying something else. Like, I wouldn't go to Cartier and be like, can I buy the single earring? I'd rather just order it online and not be stressed and get dragged. You know what I mean? Next one is the Hermes boutique in Vancouver in Canada. I shopped here on Mother's Day and I wasn't impressed by the service. First off, no one greeted us when we came in. Had to ask security guard where the women's section was. 15 minutes in the store, we're not being helped. I asked the security guard again if there's anyone to help. It seems they have more security guards than SAs. After half an hour in the store, we finally got some help. Since I know what I want, I was done in 5 minutes. I couldn't wait to get out. My brother actually wanted to get a belt, but because of the horrible experience, he decided to leave. The cashier who rung up my purchase seems like hated his job and was very unfriendly. Overall, I regretted shopping here, especially on Mother's Day when it was supposed to be a nice day for me. but the shopping experience here ruined it for me. Yeah, this is a tough store. You know, everyone who shops at this boutique has said it's incredibly competitive. There are a lot of top spenders. I think again, lesson learned, just going into those stores where no one knows you to buy something small. If you're someone who shops at these stores as a local client, you cannot compare your experience of buying a small item to a tourist walking in buying a small item. I'm talking about tourists walking in and buying small items. Like, you're gonna get dragged. You will get dragged. The next one is the Big H boutique at Faubourg in Paris, France, the flagship store. We came to Big H over the course of 10 days, a group of 16 people, hoping for a respectful and attentive customer experience. Instead, we were repeatedly offered vague promises of appointments, asked for our emails as if follows were guaranteed, and received absolutely no communication in return. What's worse, the way we were treated in store was dismissive and cold, and frankly disrespectful. The staff made us feel as if we were an inconvenience, as if we had to beg for their assistance. This kind of attitude is completely unacceptable, especially from a brand that prides itself on exclusivity and customer care. We expected courtesy and honesty. Instead, we were ignored and disrespected. Honestly, guys, I wouldn't go to the flagship Paris store in like a massive group. Now, in certain cultures, it's normal to go to a boutique like in a massive group. But I think when you go in a massive group, if you're going as like one big family, I think that is absolutely fine. There's no question about it. If you can make an appointment. You know what I mean? So at Louis Vuitton or at Big C or at Cartier, and I think if you can, like for example, I was thinking for my European trip, there might be one day where me, my husband, little baby Sinai, we will all go together to like a luxury shopping appointment, maybe Louis Vuitton or Dior or something like that. But I think if you make the appointment ahead of time to say, hey, I'm coming with my husband and my little baby, I think that allows the brand to prepare like a room for you where you can be comfortable. Now, at Big H, we know you can't make an appointment ahead of time unless you have an SA. So walking off of the street just as a tourist in a massive group of people, I think that Big H, specifically at that location, kind of feels like these people are not going to spend a lot of money. They're just here as one big group to look around at things. And I do think it does give off reseller vibes at Faubourg. That's just a speculation I have of maybe why it was unpleasant for them. You know, again, it's not to say whether it's right or wrong, but just to add some context. Same location, Faubourg. We recently visited the Big H boutique at Faubourg on two separate occasions. On our first visit, we purchased a pair of shoes, which regrettably turned out to be of poor quality. The fact only became apparent when we went back to London. They say how they go back to London. The store manager declined to accept the shoes in London, saying that they weren't sellable. They were told to contact Big H customer service. When we contacted Hermes, our inquiry was referred back to Faubourg. An employee from the store contacted me and informed me they did not consider themselves at fault, nor did they find any issue with the shoes. Nevertheless, they stated as an exception they would agree to a refund if we returned to the store in person. They reiterated it wasn't their responsibility, that the shoes were deemed unacceptable by the London boutique. I was very surprised and disappointed by the response, but had no choice to purchase new tickets to Paris to facilitate the return. It's a waste of money, absolute waste of time and money, as they could not even organize a return by DHL. On our second visit to the store to return the shoes, the overall experience was again disappointing. While members of staff were polite and helpful, in particular the lady who served us, others were unfriendly, rude, and unwelcoming. Additionally, when inquiring about the availability of other products, we were informed the staff couldn't check stock of other Hermes stores nor place orders for them. This is particularly surprising as our experience on Hermes store on Avenue Montaigne, I think they mean the Avenue George Cinq, was markedly different there. They go on to say how George Cinq is better. It gave us the distinct impression the Faubourg store staff were indifferent to providing assistance. Overall, this experience was extremely disappointing. Moving forward, we'll shop at, they keep saying Avenue Montaigne, they mean George Cinq, and we'll be avoiding Faubourg in the future moving forward. Yeah, I mean, no, you're wrong for this. In the review, they say that the shoes were €1,000. No, sorry, they don't say how much the shoes were. I mean, even if they were exotic shoes, which would be like max like 3,000, I think 800 in Croc or something like that. And they probably aren't exotic shoes, because if they were, they probably would have mentioned it. I mean, I don't know. This seems like such a waste of time and money to be like, we want to return the shoes. We're going to fly back to Paris to return the shoes. When the customer service told them like, hey, you can't return the shoes, they probably didn't think that these people would fly back to return the shoes. I do think that Big H at Faubourg, especially, the shoe department looks like an absolute nightmare. Like every time I've been to Faubourg, the shoe department looks like absolute chaos. It looks so busy. There's so many people milling around. I think that they thought that this customer was difficult, and they were just being annoying, and they were just being a pain in the behind, and that's how they treated them. I have to say, I agree. I think it's petty to be like, I'm back in London, you won't accept DHLs, I'm gonna fly back to Paris to return a pair of shoes. I mean, give me a break. Just move on and chalk it up to experience, and then go buy something else or do something else with your time. I don't know. To me, this seems almost childish and frankly silly. And in addition to being a waste of time, for me, time matters more than money. My time is more valuable than money. I don't know how you guys view it, but what a waste of time being like, okay, I'm gonna go back and really make my point to you, and it's like the people working at Faubourg do not care. My recent experience at this Hermes store was unfortunately an encounter that calls in the question of the essence of luxury itself. The store was teeming with people. It was overwhelmingly packed, particularly in the shoe section. Guys, seriously, I'm not the only person who thinks this. Transforming what should have been a serene and intimate space into a crowded, almost frenzied atmosphere. Yes, frenzied, like almost this kind of bacchanalian, frenzied, crazied, kind of vibe. The sheer volume of patrons seemed to strain the staff's ability to provide the tailored attention one expects from a brand of this caliber. At no point were we proactively assisted. Yeah, you're going to be ignored there. Instead, we were left to navigate this bustling space on our own, finally needing to interrupt staff to gain even the most basic acknowledgement. When assistance was finally provided, it felt rushed, devoid of thoughtfulness. The associate handling our inquiry in the shoe section seemed to view us as one more task in a hurried sequence rather than loyal clients engaged in a meaningful decision. Girl, sit your butt down, girl. This haste culminated in a substantial error in our purchase. Ooh, okay. An oversight that revealed a startling lack of precision and care and caused us stress and significantly wasted our time. This experience raises an uncomfortable question. What is the point of luxury if not to provide an oasis of consideration, artistry, and experience? When even Big H, a name synonymous with refinement, begins to falter, it forces one to reconsider the value placed on brand reputation over actual experience. This visit was not disappointing, was disillusioning. In light of this, I will not be returning to this Big H. This lack of attention, the sense of being hurried through, and the fundamental lapse in service were all antithetical to the values Big H ostensibly represents. Okay, first of all, you need to calm down. Okay, you have a parasocial relationship with a brand founded in 1837, a year that none of us were born in. Okay, the ghost of Thierry Hermes commands you to calm down, or in French, calmez-vous. Okay, chill out. It's not that serious. Chill out with these ridiculous parasocial relationships, number one. Number two, this person is clearly one of these show your passion for the brand Pegasus unicorn trolls, and they got checked. That's right, at the mothership store. So now they're triggered. We don't know exactly what happened here, but obviously they went to the they went to the shoe section and got handled and dragged. Not saying that is particularly right, but again, I've talked about this before, the way people put this brand on a pedestal. I've said it before in one of my other videos. Big H is not God. Big H can be critiqued. Big H can be dragged. Yes, she's a bad chick in the world of exotics, absolutely, and colors and stuff like that. But come on, guys. Big H is not God. We're allowed to critique her. We're allowed to say, hey, that's not cool. That's not nice. This is one of these Pegasus unicorn trolls who wanted to go to Paris to have that iconic experience where it's a relationship, and they clicked with the essay and talking about all this stuff. And instead, they turned up at Faubourg at the shoe section, and they saw what I saw in the previous trip. A wild, crazy experience, literally bursting at the seams, people running around everywhere with shoes, essays everywhere, clients everywhere. There's a word that she used in there, an oasis. There's nothing about the shoe section at the mothership store that gives oasis of calm. Okay, so I think also something else about these experiences is people need to temper their expectations and be realistic about your expectations, especially if you're not a VIP at the brand. Be realistic, because I think if you're someone who's unrealistic about your sort of expectations of luxury shopping, and I understand, like, I love Versace and I love Moschino, okay? Moschino's flagship is in Milan, the city where the brand was founded. I would love to go there and have a great experience. But in order to do that, I would make sure that I like made an appointment. Or I would make sure, be like, hey, I'm coming. I really like Moschino. I'm going to buy this and this and this. Really looking forward to seeing the boutique and shopping at the store. Making it clear that you're buying something so you have that great experience. Now, of course, at FSH for Big H, you can't do that because you can't make an appointment ahead of time unless you have an SA. And most tourists who are just walking in don't have an SA. You know, again, the shoe section is unfortunate, but I think that Big H sees shoes that are not exotic the same way they see silk scarves and the same way they see makeup. I think that there is a hierarchy of Birkenbait at the brand, and I think even in Paris, I do think that they see like people who buy shoes that are not exotic, silk scarves, makeup and perfume, and small purchases. Don't worry, I'll include myself because last time I just bought the baby pouch, which was just €500, whatever. And by the way, that thing is completely useless. I just use it now for glam because it doesn't even fit like anything that my son really needs. So it's completely useless. It looks cute and everything, but I just use it for glam now. I think those like small purchases, they don't like people coming to buy small purchases wanting to expect the red carpet. Me personally though, I don't expect the red carpet buying a small purchase. If I was buying shoes that are not exotic, silk scarves, a small purchase like the pouch, the baby pouch, I wouldn't expect, you know, for it to be an oasis of calm and for it to be this like wonderful Pegasus unicorn experience. I would just be like, okay, cool, I'm here to get something. You know, are there leather appointments available? Can I try and churn something? If you're buying something small and you don't have connections. But if you buy ready to wear, fine jewelry, the really expensive homeware pieces, the furniture, the lighting, they have lanterns for God's sake, the chairs, yes. If I'm buying those Birkenbait pieces, the 10,000, 15,000 euro chess sets, yes, I'm going to need you to take me to a private room. I'm going to need us to, you know, have a little bit of a more luxurious, cheerful experience. But I'm not going to be delusional and expect people to roll out the red carpet for me if I'm buying a pair of shoes. Okay? Now, of course, there are going to be some of you are going to be upset with this because you're going to be like, everyone should be treated the same. But the reality is luxury is about exclusivity. And to that point, I don't believe there's anything such as affordable luxury. You know, you see a lot of brands do this. Like, can you have affordable luxury? I don't think affordable luxury exists. I think luxury is just luxury. It is based on exclusivity. It is based on price. Price has to play a role. And of course, you want to have that super luxurious experience. There's no question about it. But we all know that Big H operates differently. Every brand has their way of showing that luxury experience. You know, today I was just like, you know, watching people's Louis Vuitton beauty unboxings, people who are not luxury YouTubers, they're not luxury influencers, they're people who like glam, they're not necessarily luxury people. And it was really interesting. Someone had left a comment on another creator's page saying, you know, why is there so much packaging? This isn't sustainable. And I was like, that's the whole point. That's the whole point. If you are shopping at Louis Vuitton, you know, frankly, if you're shopping at Big H, frankly, if you're shopping at Big C and any luxury brand, do you really care about sustainability? I'm not going to sit here and say that I know a lot about sustainability and the environment. I don't. Okay, I don't. And I was like, that's the whole point. They're adding all this packaging, so it feels like you're opening a treasure from like a treasure chest. That's what it's meant to be. That's why there's so much packaging, particularly with the LV beauty unboxing. Absolutely, it is about opening treasure and it feeling like this very luxurious experience. Now, is that experience going to match at the Champs-Élysées flagship for the makeup? Now, I don't know about that. Okay, because I'm sure that the makeup is at the charm store. I don't know about that. They might be like, girl, I know you didn't come in here to buy the makeup, but of course they should be willing to accommodate people. And I think, like, particularly in the Louis Vuitton situation, a lot of people were saying that they're really controlling the way people swatch. It's because they don't want people coming to create content for social media and not buying anything. And that is a problem, for sure. So to go back to the Faubourg situation, I do think, particularly in the really tourist heavy boutiques that get a lot of tourists, if they don't know you, make sure you listen, because I don't want to hear Pegasus Unicorns in the comments saying, I walked in naked in my pants and I bought a silk scarf and I was given a bottle of champagne. If they know you, I don't want to hear that in these comments, okay? And of course, it's not every Big H. There will be some Big H boutiques where they're very happy if you buy something small and they don't care. But if you watch my dragging videos, you'll see, if you walk into a Big H store in a tourist city and you buy any of the following products, you're probably going to get dragged pretty hard. Silk scarves, the fashion jewelry, if you buy like one of those things, the makeup, the / perfume, and shoes that are not exotic. And if you are like, okay, I'm just buying this pair of shoes, can you show me 10 million shoes? Particularly in a lot of the EU locations that are very popular with tourists, they're going to be tired. They're going to be like, girl, bye. Okay, so it is what it is. I've kept my thoughts to myself for the most part in this video. Although, of course, I'm always going to share my thoughts, but I'm restraining myself. I want to know what you guys think more. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Sign up to the newsletter that's linked below, and stick around for that. So yeah, I would love to see you guys in the newsletter. So please go sign up for it, and also double check that you're still subscribed. I was about to say Facebook. YouTube unsubscribes people all the time to creators. I don't know why, but they do it. So just double check you're still subscribed and turn on notifications. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. God bless you all, and I'll see you in my next video. I'm out.